and you remain so focused, and there's a bang in the background, but your eyes don't leave your friend because you're so present. At the end of the conversation, they will say to you, "Thank you for listening." They will say, "Thank you for being present."
In this exclusive video, we delve into a series of profound conversations that reveal the complexity of human interactions, personal growth, and the art of living consciously. Stay with us as we have these enlightening discussions, each offering a unique perspective on how to navigate life's complexities. First, we peer into the world of communication as Simon discusses the nuances of how he interacts in professional versus personal contexts. It is an exploration of adaptability and authenticity in different spheres of life. Next, we touch on the delicate but vital topic of support and empathy. Simon delves into the importance of being there for friends who are struggling, illuminating the power of genuine companionship in times of need. In Part 3, Simon addresses a tendency common to all of us, the need to solve problems when someone is in difficulty. He invites us to understand the value of listening to the solution and the impact it has on those we care about. Thus, we are faced with the modern dilemma of social expectations. Simon offers his insights on how to deal with the pressures of quarter-life crises and the relentless pursuit of specific goals, guiding us towards a more fulfilling path. Finally, we immerse ourselves in the transformative practice of meditation and presence. Simon explains how this ancient art can improve our daily lives, fostering a deeper connection with ourselves and those around us. This is a path to greater awareness and understanding, led by Simon Sinek. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired.
And so I know that about myself now. So I can say to somebody, if you're not getting the reaction that you need, if you need any reaction, just ask me for a reaction. How does that make you feel? Is that okay? I'm like, "Oh my God, that's fantastic," right? And I'll give it to you. Or I'm really blunt and forward with questions. For example, I have a friend, she's an entrepreneur, she's a solopreneur, she offers services to people, and I think she's priced too low. And I was having this conversation with her, and I said, what do you charge? She told me the price, and I said, "Why do you charge that?" That's how I asked the question. Why do you charge that? And she was telling me about this just about a week ago. It was really funny. And in my mind, that's a perfectly legitimate question. In her mind, it was such an aggressive affront. Like, "What do you mean, why do I charge that?" And I'm like, "You're worth more. Why do you charge that?" You know? I said, "Well, how should I have asked that question?" And I guess normal people would have said, "Oh my God, you're worth so much more than that. Why do you charge that?" You know? But I don't. I'm just like this. So I recognize that in a professional context, it's one thing. People can deal with questions like that, delivered like that in a meeting. But in a relationship, not so much.
Simon shares that the context of our conversation significantly influences his approach. Professionally, he adopts a more direct and frank style. It's not about being abrasive, but about efficiency and clarity in environments that require quick decisions and clear direction. It's a communication style tailored for the fast-paced and often high-stakes world of business. In his professional interactions, Simon talks about being frank and direct. This approach eliminates ambiguity, aligns teams toward common goals, and builds momentum for progress. It's about being honest and transparent, ensuring that the message is not only heard but understood and actionable. However, Simon hints at a contrast when it comes to personal conversations. Although not detailed here, we can infer that the personal may require a more empathetic, patient, and perhaps less direct style. He recognizes the different emotional dynamics at play and the value of building and maintaining deeper personal connections.
Can you give, I learned this term the other day, which I love, I learned it from Lex Friedman. Can you give the steel man argument for your friends that are telling you to, trying to offer advice in your morning process and trying to get you to be more future orientated? As in the steel man argument, I mean, is can you give the argument for why they're doing that and why it's a good thing?
Emotions are good. It means you're human. Like I said, I believe in mental fitness, not mental health. You know, that like your body, you have to work out, you have to eat well, you have to sleep all the time. It's not something you do and then you're done. You know, we've used that analogy before, you and I, which is what the infinite game is, which is it's like I want to be healthy. Okay, well, you're going to have to do it for the rest of your life. It's not an event. And our mental health, our mental fitness is exactly the same, which is it's constant and it's ups and downs. And it's only a challenge or you need to start involving professionals if you get stuck. You know, like if you get stuck in sadness and you cannot get out of it. That's a different conversation. If you get stuck in depression and you cannot get out of it. If you get stuck in loneliness and you cannot get out of it. And by the way, the thing that I love about human beings is we can have multiple conflicting feelings simultaneously. I am lonely and optimistic simultaneously. My optimism, you know, I pride myself on my optimism. My optimism has not diminished in the least. Optimism doesn't mean I can't sit in a dark tunnel. Optimism means that I believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even if that light is far away. I have an undying belief that the future is bright. This too will pass, right? That doesn't mean I enjoy it. It doesn't mean I want to be here. And I can be excited and I can hang out with my friends and I can have an amazing time with my friends and then go home and still feel lonely. Like, you can have simultaneous and conflicting feelings. That's allowed. In fact, it's normal. But I cannot stress. I think that the way that I manage this differently than most, I don't usually talk about it on podcasts, but whatever. But the way I manage it, which is different than most, is I don't wait for the phone to ring. I call a friend and say, do you have a minute? Can I talk? And if a friend is ill-equipped, if they start fixing, I'll interrupt the conversation and say, listen, I love you. This is not what I need right now. I love you. I'm going to get off the phone right now, okay? Because when they go into fix-it mode, it actually makes me feel worse sometimes. The friends that are some of the best equipped people are folks in the military. You know, they know how to manage shit better than almost anybody I know. I've cried with more people in uniform than I've ever cried with people in suits. And the way that we talk to each other, like I have a friend who's a general. I've known him for a million years, so it's been fun to watch his career. He's now a general. And when we say goodbye to each other, we say, I love you. And when we get on the phone with each other, if it's been a long gap, he'll say to me, hey man, first of all, he calls me brother. Hey brother, right? Which means something.
Simon speaks to the soul of friendship, underlining the irreplaceable value of simply being there. Presence, as he describes it, isn't just about physical proximity. It's a question of emotional availability. It is the shoulder to lean on, the steady gaze that says, you are not alone, without saying a word. He reflects on the power of empathy, the ability to sit alongside someone in their struggle, not with solutions or judgment, but with understanding and solidarity. Simon shares personal anecdotes of friends who have embodied this support, friends who have demonstrated that sometimes the greatest help is a shared listening and silence. Drawing from his life, Simon recounts moments in which friends became his companion. These stories are not only testaments to the bonds he cultivated, but also lessons in the kind of friend we all aspire to be. They show us that support often means entering into someone's world, sharing their pain and supporting them until they find their balance.
I have another friend, and he's going through some shit, and I'm honored that when I called him up and said, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, what you've been going through? You know, I just realized I haven't talked to him in a while. And I went, hey, what have you been going through? And he just let it all out. And I could hear the frustration, I could hear the pain. And I didn't try and fix it. I just encouraged him to keep talking. What else? Go on, tell me more. What else? Oh my God, that's really, go on. Yeah, what else? And just sat in the mud with him. And it was an honor. I'll tell you, it was an honor that he felt comfortable enough to do that. Because I guarantee it, he, like so many, are really good at hiding it, faking it, suppressing it. He's a pro. In fact, I'm sure he is where he is partially because he's a pro. And, you know, if you have the skill set to hold space for someone, you will have an amazing sense of gratitude that your friends trusted you and loved you enough that they would go there in front of you. And I think that's a standard that we should strive for.
Simon notes that our first instinct when confronted with a friend's problems is to go into problem-solving mode. It comes from a good place, the desire to ease the pain and make things better. However, Sinek suggests that this well-intentioned impulse may not always be what the person needs at the time. He instead emphasizes companionship and catharsis. Simon invites us to sit with the person, to share their experience without the urge to change it. It's about leaving room for emotions, for the story to unfold, for the person to feel heard and validated. This often therapeutic process is where true healing begins. It therefore guides us to understand that solutions, although important, come later. They are most effective after the initial emotional dust has settled, when the person in difficulty feels supported and not alone. This companionship paves the way for more receptive problem-solving, where solutions are welcomed rather than perceived as dismissive of pain.
How do I get out the mud? The reason I asked that question is because I know there's someone listening to this right now who is sat in the mud. In many respects in my life, I'm sat in the mud. The thing we're all looking for is, we want empathy in the fact that we're sat in the mud, of course, but we're desperate for a way out of the mud, right? That's understandable. Where does the plan come from? How do we get out of the mud?
So if it were a prescription, you and I wouldn't have to work anymore.
On the subject matter of loneliness, because it's easier to focus on.
Right. So I think in large part, like any cooperative effort, like any relationship, and a friendship is a relationship, right? Having colleagues is a relationship. In some part, it's co-created, right? You know, you want to show up in any kind of relationship, professional or personal, and make it a co-creation. And, you know, I think when somebody first calls you, I don't think they're looking for solutions. They're looking for companionship and catharsis. They're just looking not to feel like overwhelmed. And at some point, you can either ask, can I offer some pointers? You're not ready for that yet. No, I'm not ready for that yet. Versus, yeah, go ahead. Or the person will ask themselves, you know, what do you think? What do you think? What do I do? You know? Or I'll know what to do, but I don't want to do it. Like, I know what to do. I just need to do this. And the person can just say, I'll do it with you. And just offer, again, companionship. Most of us, believe it or not, have more knowledge about how to get out of it than we think. Because we've dispensed the advice in the past. Probably. You know? I think most of us have a sense, like, it's, again, I think part of it is allowing ourselves to feel the feels. You know, I think if I suppressed the feelings, they would last longer. But allowing myself to feel the feels, I know, is part of the solution.
Simon articulates a common concern among young adults: the pressure to reach specific social milestones by certain ages. Whether it's professional success, romantic relationships, or financial stability, there is a pervasive sense that one must achieve these goals within a socially accepted timeline. This pressure, Simon notes, can lead to feelings of inadequacy and the feeling of racing against an unforgiving clock. Drawing on his own life experiences, Simon shares how he dealt with these pressures. He candidly discusses moments of insecurity and the realization that life is not a sprint, but a marathon. He encourages patience and emphasizes the importance of appreciating the journey rather than obsessing over the destination. It's about finding fulfillment in the path taken, not just in the goals achieved. Additionally, Simon advocates for a shift in focus from social benchmarks to personal growth and learning. He suggests that true contentment comes from personal development, relationships, and contributing to something greater than ourselves, rather than simply ticking boxes on society's success checklist.
Okay, so if anyone has ever practiced meditation, you sit still and you focus on one thing. When they say clear your mind, that's not true. You don't clear your mind, that's impossible. But you do focus on one thing. It could be your breath, it could be your mantra, it could be a dot on the wall, it could be a sound, it doesn't matter. The point is you focus on one thing. And when you get distracted or you have another thought, like, ooh, did I leave the oven on? What you do is you label that a thought and you push it out of your mind and you say, I'll deal with that later. And you go back to focusing on the one thing. And there are tremendous benefits to the self of being present and calm and clear-headed by practicing meditation. But that is not the sole purpose of meditation, just so you can be present. In fact, I believe that you are not present until someone else says you are. Right? So the reason you practice meditation is so that when you're sitting with a friend and they're telling you about their good day or their bad day, you are focused on one thing and one thing only, what they're telling you, as opposed to waiting for your turn to speak. And you may have thoughts, and you say, that's a thought, I'm going to label that and deal with that later. And you remain so focused, and there's a bang in the background, but your eyes don't leave your friend because you're so present. At the end of the conversation, they will say to you, thank you for listening. They will say, thank you for being present. They'll say, thank you, I feel heard. Congratulations, you were present. Congratulations, all that meditation was worth it now. The practice of meditation, though it has benefits to yourself, the reason to practice meditation is as a service to others.
Simon highlights meditation as a tool for achieving focused attention and presence in the moment. It is a practice that trains the mind to focus on one thing, whether it is a breath, a thought, or a sensation. This focus, cultivated through meditation, enhances our ability to be fully present in our daily activities, leading to a richer and more mindful experience of life. Furthermore, Simon explains that being present is not just for personal enlightenment. It is a gift we offer to others, especially in conversations. When we are truly present with someone, listening carefully, engaging fully, we are providing a service. It is a form of respect and care that recognizes the value of the person we interact with and the time they share. Simon also mentions the ripple effect of this practice. Being present has a profound impact on our relationships and interactions. It promotes deeper connections, more meaningful dialogue, and a greater sense of empathy and understanding. This mindful presence can transform not only our personal experiences, but also create a more caring and compassionate community.